asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today's session is on self-management. Self-management, as you have been hearing for the last few sessions, human personality, we consider it to be body, mind and self, the Atman. Essentially the self manifesting or functioning through a body-mind complex. So there is no managing self. The self is actually managing everything. Because of its presence, the body and mind are enlivened, illumined, and so they are functioning. So essentially self-management means management of body-mind complex. So this is what we will be discussing in detail, and of course we will be discussing also how the discovery of the self, which means self-knowledge, how it helps you better manage your mind, mental capacities, your thoughts, emotions, will, attitudes, motivations, all of this, and also your body, especially the diseases of the body, the limitations of the body, how to manage if we allow the light of awareness to stream into these portions. They get rejuvenated, as it were, renewed. So this is how self-knowledge helps in the management of body and mind. We will be discussing all of this. As I have told you always, the seat of your experience is entirely within you. You are the experiencer because you are aware experience is taking place. That is why you have the power in you to subordinate thought to awareness. You have the power in you to subordinate feelings to values. You have the capacity to subordinate compulsive behavior to conscious behavior. You are at the helm of change. You can lead the kind of life you want. But all this becomes possible if you awaken to the reality within you. Otherwise, it's very easy to develop compulsive habits. What's the meaning of compulsiveness? You are controlled by an external factor. You are compelled to do something. You are not doing it out of your will. You have so programmed yourself that you have to do it. This is compulsiveness. So we can make ourselves compulsive human beings or conscious human beings. The more you awaken self-knowledge within you, what happens is the mind becomes more conscious. Intensified awareness is generated in the mind. Using that as a light, you can do everything. You can manage your mind and of course the body-mind mechanism. But if this is not awakened, we can get into very compulsive habits, completely dedicated to something which is supposed to keep me happy, completely dependent on something to keep me engaged. So this situation can come if we have not awakened to this reality within and learned to use it in our everyday life. So essentially self-management is about this. I was going through certain self-management textbooks and this portion is lacking entirely. Although you have such a huge scriptural heritage behind you, we have sort of not been able to draw the essential aspect of self-management, which is ability to open to the reality of your being in order to handle your body-mind complex. So this we will be studying today as part of this session. First of all, let us come to the external aspect of your being, which is the body. Here I am going to give you certain ideas which you will not find in medical science. All the knowledge available to us which medical science gives us is already, you have access to it. It is on the net and you can also go into it deeply. But here I am going to give you certain thoughts which you will not find anywhere, which are characteristic of the Yoga Vedantic stand. Like for example, you know, in Ayurveda, in the science of health which was developed here, the indigenous science of keeping the body healthy, they characteristically distinguish two types of diseases. What is the meaning of disease? Dis-ease is disease. When you don't feel at ease, you feel no calmness, nothing keeps you happy. that is disease. It can be physical or mental. Now, diseases are of two types. One is called, according to Ayurveda, one is called Nija Roga, another is called Agantuk Roga. Nija Roga means disease caused by imbalance in the internal factors, which is self-created in a sense. And Agantuk Roga means an imbalance created by external factors. So, what the science of Ayurveda, pranic healing, Reiki, all these alternative forms of medicine will tell you primarily is a lot of your disease is Nija Roga. It is due to imbalance created within your system, not due to external factors. Agantuk Rog can be created by external factors like say an infection due to viruses or bacteria, or due to an accident something can happen to the body. So, this is all due to external factors. This is minimal in human life, they will tell you. But this Nija Roga, which means I create a certain amount of imbalance within myself through my wrong ways of thinking, through my wrong attitudes, through the abuse of the body-mind complex, and that creates a kind of dis-ease within myself, and I attribute it to all kinds of factors. So, this is what is greatly happening today. Medical science has come to this understanding. You know, there is a term called psychosomatic disease. You must have heard of it. So, many of the so-called diseases are psychosomatic in nature. Psych means mind, soma means the cells of the body. They are connected. And many of our ailments are psychosomatic. Please try to understand this. Almost everything in the physical system, starting from your blood flow, hemoglobin level, heart rate, then the mechanism of the liver, the stomach, even the lining of the stomach, the flow of blood in the arteries, the lung mechanism, then the musculoskeletal system, the release of the endocrine system, release of hormones, enzymes, the functioning of all of this greatly depends upon the kind of thoughts you have. Today, if with chronic ailments, if a person goes to a doctor, one of the conditions the doctor will put is, please try to maintain a calm state of mind, a happy state of mind. Even the absorption of food, the function of the villi in the stomach and the endocrine system, a lot of it depends upon habitually what you are used to, what states of mind you are used to. Are you in habitually happy states of mind or in depressed states of mind? Does negativity, is it a huge part of your everyday mind, everyday thinking, or is it a rare thing with you? All this matters a lot. You know, there are ways of measuring happiness nowadays, happiness levels. There are different ways which we have covered, some of it has been covered in the first course which I took here. You can go through those videos. There you can see clearly that there is a way of finding out your negative, positive emotional level in a given time span. Say in the next 1 hour, how much of negativity do you suffer and how positive is your mind? Are you in a habitually cheerful state of mind, or at least a glad state of mind, or is it perpetually negative and you constantly need things to keep you busy, otherwise you will go into negativity? Is it this kind of a state? So, if we are used to this kind of continuous negativity, which many youngsters, I am very sorry to see this, they are suffering from this. If this is your habitual state of mind, there will be problems in the body. So, to overcome this, there are definite techniques. Even Ayurveda will point out to this. Today's medical science has come to this. Any number of experiments have been conducted on this, and they will tell you very plainly. Today, even if you go to a physiotherapist, you know, he will tell you perform these exercises, but keep a very calm state of mind, keep a happy state of mind. Why? It affects your body. So, we will try to understand this a little deeper. How is it that it affects your body? You know, the nature of the body is it follows mind. The problem is we have learned to think mind is, because you can't see it, it is somewhere in the brain or somewhere. Mind is all over your system. Every cell has memory. That is why it follows a particular pattern. What you are calling heredity, it is nothing but, in a sense, memory. Because of this, what has happened is your mind, your body follows the nature of your mind. Which means if your mind is by nature positive, you have made it like that. Don't think mind got created itself. How we make it? I told you mind depends on two factors, whatever the content of your mind. One is what you take in through the senses and your memories, what you have taken in the past. To a great extent, these decide the content of your mind. So, your body has this tendency to follow the content of your mind. So, if your mind is perpetually in a negative mode, the body will pick up all that. And if mind is fresh and positive, glad, cheerful, by nature bubbling with joy, if you can maintain the mind like that, it will show in the body. There is a famous incident of a doctor who led a wonderful life, a very beautiful life, in which he made a huge contribution to destitute children. He had a very good practice. He helped a whole lot of people during his about more than 50 years of practice, and after that he dedicated his time to lifting destitute children out of poverty. About 1,000 children he saved from rank poverty levels. And then when he grew old, he would always say, if anybody asked him, how are you keeping, doctor, he would say, I am very well, thank you. How are you? He was always very well. So even when he reached the age of 80, if anybody asked him, how are you, he would say, oh, I am excellent, I am doing very well, because really he had such a beautiful mind, he always stayed very happy. And after a few months, after he turned 80, he passed away. And when he passed on, everybody who knew him, they felt very sorry about this such a great life. And then when the post-mortem report came, they saw that, not a single organ in his body was actually functioning to perfection, although he always felt very well. Because of the nature of his mind, which was always positive, always giving, always sharing, the body never felt any pain. In fact, cancer had spread to some areas of his body, but he never knew it. The state of his mind, because of he had made it, you see, how do you change the state of your mind? If you develop right positive attitudes, isn't it? Caring, sharing, kindness. If this becomes part of your system, your mind will naturally remain happy. So that is picked up by the body. And if only thoughts of violence and anger and revenge, all this is taking place in the mind, jealousy, then this will affect even the body. So this is what is happening. It was found that his body was not in perfect order, but his mind never felt it. Because it was so habituated to cheer and goodwill and happiness, his body got along with his mind very well. So this is a possibility. The body will tend to follow the nature of the mind. And when you are in a very depressed or sickly state of mind, you will always keep feeling pains and hurts and aches, even if they are not there. Have you seen people like this? Constantly worrying, constantly complaining, grumbling, blaming others, because their mind is not in their hands at all. They will constantly be telling you something which hasn't worked with them. The whole point is you must learn to refresh the mind, renew the energies of the mind from time to time, and enforce positivity. Not enforce, what I mean to say is make it your default state. Naturally, always. You can do this easily through yoga. You can replace thoughts, you can replace your habits, you can replace the worries, anxiety modes of your mind. If you make these things your default state, the mind radiates sort of a kind of happiness, a kind of joy, a kind of ease and well-being. So this makes you successful wherever you are. Not just health-wise, it will draw very good minds to you. You will enjoy your experience of life like anything. In fact, this should be the natural state for every young mind, isn't it? When all your energies are just now in your hands, this should be the natural perpetual state of mind. So now how do we manufacture this? First of all, correct your relationship with the body. This is very important. Please see this. This is an instrument given to you to function in this world. How will you treat an instrument? You will treat it with care. Your scriptures tell you this is the temple of God. If the Atman is of the very nature of consciousness, bliss, the supreme, usi ke ek amsh ho aap, then this is the external manifestation of that. This is the temple for the soul. How will you keep a temple? How do you maintain temples? You keep them clean and pure. So this is part and parcel of good living. Never think that, well, the body is just something. You are not contained within it. You are using it as an instrument. So it is something you must care for. It is something you must keep clean and fresh always. This should be the attitude towards the body. Your relationship with the body is going to affect how your mind is going to behave. You know, it is not just that the mind affects the body, even the body to a certain extent affects the mind. If you keep it clean and pure, you know, your mind will be functioning in a particular very positive way. So they influence each other. You will find this in a huge way in William James' psychological theory, that your postures, your attitudes, the way you handle your body, all this is going to create the moods of your mind. That is why in India, you know, art forms were always committed to the highest ideals. Have you seen this? Traditional art forms were always based on very high ideals, so that whatever you do by way of art, whether it is music, whether it is dance, everything is geared towards lifting your energies and emotions to a higher ideal. It is geared towards something which elevates human life. I can tell you a simple story here. This is also a real story. There was this American girl who, right from the age of 16, she developed very strong depression. And such a level of depression some people can suffer that they are on antidepressants every day. And nothing is making her coming out of that phase. So she finally left college, and she was in high school at that time. Then she entered college, could not do it, so she left it. And then fortunately she had some friends who invited her to India. And she came to India, and here for the first time she saw this Bharatnatyam performance somewhere. And she liked it very much, and she came home and she told her friends that what kind of a dance form is this, I would like to learn it. And they introduced her to the teacher and all that, and she started taking lessons. Over a period of 3 months, she completely overcame her depression. She stopped taking antidepressants. She was seen to give more and more time in pursuits like this, listening to good music, dance, and in a cheerful state of mind all the time. Then she herself was very surprised, because for years she had been going through these phases of depression. So she went and asked her teacher, how come just learning Bharatnatyam has brought me out of this depression? And you know what the teacher said? She said, what are you doing in Bharatnatyam? You are depicting the moods of gods, the bhavas of Krishna or Shiva or Durga, the moods of gods. That has an impact on your mind. Whatever you depict, however you handle your body, that has an impact on your mind, because you are depicting such elevating emotions, elevating bhav. In our culture always it was refining the bhav, not polishing just the behavior. Andar ka bhav kaisa hai, that was paramount. So because you are working at that level, it is naturally your whole system is becoming very positive, and so you are getting out of depression. So how you handle your body, that will affect your mind further on. This is one system, please see, it's a composite body-mind unit through which you are functioning. So learn to handle it with care. This is primary knowledge. Then let me tell you one more thing. This is regarding in behavioral sciences, you know, this is coming in today. There's a huge branch of psychology which is called behavioral psychology. What determines the behavior of a person? If you finally go to the core standpoint, it comes to Yoga Vedanta. What determines the behavior of a person? His external actions, his motivations, his work towards others, his attitudes towards others. It is finally the content of his mind, what attitude he has. And that content of the mind is determined by what? It is determined by his orientation towards life and reality. So if there is this kind of a spiritual outlook, naturally your mind will be functioning in a particular way. You will not go into negative phases of life, depression and anxiety, stress. All this will not come into a mind which is perpetually positive. So how to manufacture this kind of a mind is something we are deeply going to go into in today's class, because self-management includes managing your thoughts, emotions, your will, your levels of awareness, and finally your life, that is the manifestation of all this through the body-mind mechanism. So this is the essential part of you, your thought and emotion is essentially your mind, and of course your will. So the difference between compulsive person and conscious person is this, that compulsive means you are not in charge of your thoughts and emotions. Some other external factor is deciding how you will think and how you will feel. So you are at the mercy of your gadgets, other people's emotions, other people's feelings for you. You are at the mercy of the external. But conscious behavior means you are not at the mercy of anything. I am conscious enough to know what is happening in my mind, and hence I replace negativity with positivity consciously. You get that capacity. So the whole difference between compulsive and conscious behavior, that is actually the measure of intelligence. If you are more conscious, you will become more intelligent. And if you are compulsive, even if you were intelligent at one time, you can degrade that intelligence. Are you seeing this, the connections? Isliye genuine intelligence is becoming more and more conscious of your inner faculties, taking the whole thing, your body-mind complex, in your hands, so that you lead the life you want to lead. You are not a slave to anything external. You generate your happiness and peace by yourself. This is the essential independence and glory of human life. So today even intelligence is being studied with respect to all this. Intelligence is a multi-dimensional something. आप ये मत समझिए सिर्फ IQ intelligence है. Today I am going to give you all the types of intelligence available that we have come to so far. Let me show you a slide on this. Intelligence is multi-dimensional, and look at the multiple intelligences available today to you. In our study of intelligence, we have come to this. You see, there is logical intelligence, visual, musical, intrapersonal, kinesthetic, then what is that? Interpersonal, naturalistic and linguistic. All these are the different dimensions of intelligence. आप ये मत समझिए सिर्फ logical intelligence is there is no musical or kinesthetic intelligence. That means the intelligence is not fully developed yet. All this is included under intelligence today. So essentially, development of all of this constitutes intelligence, and this includes not just your logical analytical ability, but your emotional abilities. It includes your power of willing, your attitudes, your motivations. It includes your talents. It includes everything. So development of everything is the real development of intelligence. Your logical analytical ability, upon which we are laying the greatest amount of stress in today's educational system, that is a very essential part, no doubt, but that is only one dimension of intelligence. So you see, in the hierarchy of human intelligences today, you have at the bottom of the pyramid is PQ, physical quotient it is called, which is actually your body awareness and its skillful use, the proper spatial orientation, understanding your relationship with the body. Then IQ levels, that is the next level of higher intelligence. You see there you have math, verbal intelligences, all of this is included in IQ. Essentially your rational, logical, analytical ability is IQ. Then over that is EQ. It's a higher form of intelligence. It includes what? Managing ourselves and our relationships, basically managing your emotions, making them positive so that they work for you, they don't work against you. Your intelligence can turn against you if your emotions cannot be managed properly. Isn't it? Isn't this true? If my intelligence cannot be managed properly, my emotion cannot be managed properly, my intelligence will turn against me. And then at the top of that pyramid, you see, this today's science is telling you this, is SQ, which is spiritual quotient, acting with inner wisdom guided by compassion. So if this is there, every other quotient is going to work magic for you. Otherwise, your PQ, physical quotient, IQ, intelligence quotient, EQ, emotional quotient, SQ. If SQ is there, all of this will work properly. If SQ is not there, you never know your intelligence quotient. It can be lopsided development. Intelligence quotient alone is there. The other quotients are lacking. There's another quotient called VQ, which is not here in this diagram. VQ is volitional quotient, which means your power of willing. How strongly you can will and stick to your will. Not that the will is changing direction always. You stick to what you have willed and achieve it. This is VQ. And there's another quotient recently discovered called AQ, which is adversity quotient, which means in the face of adversity, can you stand up and achieve your goals? Otherwise, a little bit of adversity in your life and you just break apart. This can also happen, isn't it? A really intelligent person is one who turns adversity also into opportunity. Adversity can come into life, but that doesn't mean you break down. So that is also a dimension of intelligence. All of this together give you success in life. At the peak is always SQ. Please understand this, because if you are spiritually not mature, which means you have not learned to stand up for who you truly are and handle your body mind as an instrument in your hands, none of the other quotients will work optimally. This is essential part of today's understanding of intelligence levels. So, handling thought and emotion, this should be our priority. See, in your everyday education, this may not come. That is why courses like this are introduced for you. And this is happening in many universities today because everybody understands the importance of this. Without handling this system, how can I handle the world? Without handling my thought and emotion properly, can I handle your thought and emotion? Responsibility itself means, I told you, responsibility. If your responses and reactions are totally out of place, you cannot handle anything in this world. So first, I get charge over myself. I take charge over myself. This is the first thing to do. So let us go step by step. Handling thought, handling my thought mechanism. What does it mean? What does a single thought, what is its structure? What does it feel like? Can you tell me, any of you? One single thought, what does it constitute? See, in every thought, when you think one complete thought, there is an idea portion, right? It's an idea basically, to which you can attach an emotion. And the whole thing has been enlivened by your vital energy. Now, if the idea is prime, main thing about the thought, then it's called a rational thought. If the emotion is the main thing, it is called an emotional thought, an emotion basically. So it is only a difference in degree. Your every thought will have an idea and an emotion and vital energy invested into it. So this is a single thought. Like this, constantly thoughts are taking place in your mind, and with every thought your mind is getting modified. That is why ye jo restlessness we feel in the mind is due to that. Whatever you think, your mind is tinged by that. So if you learn to think in an orderly way, with considerable positivity in your idea and emotion, your mind is constantly getting tinged by something very positive. So it will remain orderly, it will be very balanced. Otherwise it can go into very erratic states of mind. Isn't it? If constant negativity is there in the idea and in the emotion, your thought is very unstable. So mind also becomes unstable. So please understand this, your thought mechanism, how it functions, you must learn to pay attention to it. A little bit of meditation every day will help you manipulate your thinking. It will help you bring your thinking in order. Otherwise, you go off track. Many times this happens. See, suppose your teacher told you something which you did not like, or your friend told you something which you did not like. If you spend 50% of your day worrying about that, or thinking harshly about that, you know how much of energy you waste? And this is happening. That is why all these over anxious, depressive phases of your life. You have given things the importance they don't deserve. Whatever the rebuke or whatever, it was for a particular purpose. You must solve that and go ahead. You must drop the matter there. But no, the worry continues. So, unnecessarily investing energy in what is not required is one of the causes for your negativity. Another thing is allowing only negativity to enter into you through different external influences, which means if you see today's youngsters, they do a half an hour of study or 1 hour of study, then they need 15 minutes of entertainment. After that, somehow with great effort, again bring your mind back to study, again after some time half an hour of entertainment. ऐसा क्यों होना चाहिए? If this is your normal default state, then you better change it. Because if you are allowing all sorts of things to come into your study period, you are not applying your whole mind at all. That's the meaning. So sustained attention and focus you can only maintain if your thoughts are aligned, if your thought world is ordered. इसीलिए the importance of taking conscious care of your thought mechanism. That is why limit your exposures when you are, if you want to be in a concentrated state of mind. My exposures will be only positive and limited to specific hours maybe, but not all the time, not like this, anytime. Anytime is entertainment time, no such thing. Consciously if you follow these few things, when I say limiting your exposures, please understand this, what you take in through the senses becomes the content of your mind. If constantly violent things you are taking in, harsh things, gross things, your mind will start functioning like that. Unawares, you don't want it to happen, but it's happening. This is what is called compulsive thinking. You are compelled to think in a particular way. Tomorrow it will become action. What you think today will become action tomorrow. Many people, who become very negative, they don't want to be like that, but they have entered, that compulsive habit has entered. So they are like that. It's not a question of knowledge, I don't know. Everyone knows what is the right thing, what's the good thing to do. But we are not able to do it. That is our problem. In Mahabharata, there is this very beautiful incident which concerns Duryodhan. When he is standing just before the war started, Bhishma Pitama is telling Duryodhan, you don't know basic dharma. That is why due to you this war is taking place. You don't have the basic knowledge of dharma. You don't know how to behave with elders. You don't know how to behave with anybody. That is why today all this crisis. And you know what Duryodhan's reply was? Don't tell me I don't know. I know everything. I can't do it. Janami dharmam nacha me pravrittim. Janami adharmam nacha me nivrittim. This is my problem. I know what is dharma. I can't do it. I am compelled to do the wrong thing. I have entered these compulsive modes of mind, compulsive habits. And janami adharmam nacha me nivrittim. I know what is adharma, but I can't desist from it because my habits have become like that. Once we will discuss habits, how to change habits. It's very important. Habits of mind, habits of emotion, thought and emotion, and habits of willing. These three. Habitual patterns should be very correct and strongly positively aligned. Otherwise, constant negativity and struggling with unnecessary things. Your energies will go in that. So this is regarding the thought mechanism. If you forcefully bring only compulsive habits into your life by careless ways of living, heedless ways of living, today after getting this knowledge at this level, at least this group should not be like that. The nature of leaders is they are independent. They are not compulsive by habit. They are conscious decision makers. They take conscious charge over their life. So they become leaders. So this capacity should naturally develop with this knowledge, isn't it? This is the expectation from this course, that you become really mature adults. Handling your thought, first thing. Second thing is most important, handling your emotion. Because emotion is such a huge part of your personality. You do not know, but emotion, for most people, emotion dominates the thought process. Most of your thinking is emotional. So if you have no charge over it, it will carry you away, blow you away somewhere. आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कैसे वापस आना है. Unless you take a little charge over your system. What is emotion basically? See, today, no, they have studied emotion in a huge way. You have certain elementary knowledge in Patanjali Yoga Sutras also, in our scriptures, like they talk of kleshas, klishtavritti, aklishtavriti, all this, how it leads to viparyai, wrong knowledge. Wrong emotions will lead to wrong knowledge. All this they talk about, but today we have substantial amount of knowledge on emotions and emotional intelligence. We should be able to utilize that. See, what is emotional intelligence basically? Look at that diagram there. It includes all of this: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy and social skills. This together we are calling emotional intelligence. If all of this is there, you know, the level of EQ will be very high. Emotional intelligence. Basically, emotional intelligence deals with how to make your emotions positive, which means through self-awareness, through self-regulation, you develop high-level motivation, empathy and social skills. All together, they have put it under emotional intelligence. Right? Now, we will go deeper into this. In order to develop this, you must understand first of all what is an emotion. Emotion is a high energy thought with feeling. Emotions are thoughts charged with feelings, so they are high energy thoughts. Isn't this true? Anything which has emotion in it becomes etched in your memory. Please see this. So they are such powerful thoughts. So you must know all the more how to handle them. Because they are charged, they create waves of vrittis. One single emotion in your mind will create, it's not just one vritti, it will create a wave of commotion in your mind. Positive, or it can even be positive, I should not call it commotion, that's why. It can create waves of vrittis in your mind. So they are a formidable force, actually, emotions. If they are positive, they will produce quality vrittis, isn't it? हम जो सद्भाव कहते हैं. If you are used to only positive emotions, आपका जो भाव होता है वो सद्भाव होगा. If they are negative, then they produce not just wrong knowledge, they will produce a wrong kind of भाव in you. जिसको कुभाव कहते हैं. अच्छा भाव नहीं, खुद ही अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. If they are of the negative nature and they deflect knowledge. See, suppose there is anger in your mind, even what the other person is saying in front of you, you will not hear it. You will have a biased view, a prejudice will rule your mind. If your mind is tinged with the emotion of anger or hatred or jealousy, isn't it? You miss out the real knowledge about the thing. It's contextual, but whatever it is. So please understand this, that your emotion to a certain extent generates your knowledge. So take charge of your emotion. That is why in today's context, they say emotional intelligence is far more than IQ, what your IQ will give you. If there is EQ, higher level of EQ, you will be successful anywhere, not necessarily just with IQ. So this is an essential part of your education. How do I make my emotions positive and elevate them? Like for example, you see here I have given the example of road rage. Suppose you are driving and somebody overtakes you on the wrong side, or maybe traffic signal has come and too long you have had to wait, and somebody goes through that traffic signal and you can't bear it because you are waiting. So all this leads to what is called road rage. This is a common thing for youngsters because you are, speed is life for you. You want to go fast, but there is an impediment now. So what will you add to this? This is the situation, but you will add your anger, your ego, your pride, loath maybe for the person who sped away, and the negative emotion in your mind becomes huge. It overtakes your mental thought process, and maybe you curse that person or say bad things about him. all this happens, you spoil your mood and the mood of people around you also. So contribution came from where? Your emotion, right? Whatever the external circumstances, the emotion your mind generates is going to rule over you. And if you do not have these negative emotions, a habitually calm state of mind which has positivity, you will let go of the incident. Because after all, you can't do anything about it, you can't change it just now, and you won't allow it to affect you. So this way you can work more positively, productively. Maybe tomorrow when you meet your friend, you can tell him in a very balanced state of mind that that was not the right thing to do, and he will listen to you. But if you have anger and loath in your speech, do you think he will listen to you? तो यही बात है, if I cannot, my responsibility is my responsibility. If I cannot take responsibility of my emotions, you cannot make any change in this world. You won't know how to deliver the thing even, the right thing. So ये primary है. Now how to do this is what we will learn here. See how to handle negative emotions. What is the source of your negativity? First of all, let us understand the source of our negative emotions. Negative emotions come from toxic thoughts. This is something very important. This your culture always told you. There is a group of 6 groups of thoughts whose presence leads to negative emotions in the mind. काम, क्रोध, मद, लोभ, मोह, मात्सर्य. आपने सुना होगा, एटलीस्ट स्कूल में दोहों में, तुलसीदास कबीरदास जी के दोहों में आपने सुना होगा. There are, yes, 6 groups of thoughts which lead to negative emotions in the mind. All of this, you see, lust, anger, pride, greed, infatuation, jealousy, all of these are responsible for the negative emotions of your mind. They come from the toxicity of these thoughts. So, the methods of self-control, it will start with changing your habits of thinking. Now, they can only be changed by replacement techniques. You know, a habit, how do you change a habit? Through replacing it with a better habit. If you attack the habit as it is, it may not change. There will be opposition from your mind only. You know, our mind is not one whole thing. Your own mind can work against the higher mind, which is telling you, no, this is not right to do. But this mind is saying, no, let's do it. So, habits, if you can replace them, you make better habits in your life. You are not able to get up at a particular time, you can give yourself habit cues, which means triggers which will help you form better habits. And then you can, that's how you make the better habits. Like for example, I know IITians are all nocturnals. You stay up late in night. You know, actually I heard that you sleep at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock because labs are open at midnight. So okay, anyway, you're doing all that, but then you are expected to get up at least at 8 o'clock in the morning. Once you go to sleep, 8 or maybe holidays 9, whatever. Now, many of you skip breakfast. Somehow you race to your classes and maybe when you find time you have your breakfast. थोड़ा सा अगर ये level regulate ना करो ना, the meditation that we are speaking of, it will become very difficult. थोड़ा सा इसको regulate करना है, which means as far as possible, fixed hours for your breakfast. You must have breakfast. Fixed hours for your lunch, and then throughout the day, your study hours. I'm not telling you don't sit up late at night. You can't but do it at this stage of your life. You have to do it. But as far as possible, regulate your sleeping, eating habits as much as you can, so that, you know, once it becomes a habit, your life will be moving like that day after day. And you can only change habits by replacing them with better habits. The habit was to skip lunch. Deliberately, I will not skip lunch. Deliberately, I will give myself habit cues. At a certain period of time, I will go and do that thing. Deliberately. So, this conscious effort on your part is required to change, to make the changes required. When the mind goes out during concentration, I will keep the habit cues close to me, which means what? Maybe with your laptop you are sitting, you can have a cup of coffee, you can have triggers which help you study, but not straight away jumping into the media, jumping into the your YouTube or whatever, and going away from your subject. If you do that, you lose the energy of your concentration, focus. So you replace the habit with a better habit. By replacement techniques, you can change habits. The second thing is bringing in opposite emotion during action. It is called Pratipaksha Bhavanam in Yoga Sutras, which means there is a tendency to get very angry at a particular moment. Deliberately, I will smile, I will subdue my emotions, I will speak something good, I will do some positive action, maybe I helped somebody, but I will not give in to that anger at that moment. Ye sambhav hai. You feel like blurting out something at somebody because that person irritated you. Deliberately, you will do an act of service to subdue your emotion. Bringing in the opposite emotion through action is important in order to not create a terrible situation for yourself also and for the other person. You can only change people if you are in a very balanced state of mind. Please see this. Not by shouting and screaming and torturing other people and talking behind them. These are not the ways to change. If you want to change another person's attitude, behavior, whatever it is, you can do it only if you are in a very balanced state of mind. Then only you can affect the other person. So bringing in the opposite emotion is important for you, and that is why in Patanjali Yoga Sutras you have all this Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, which means no matter what the reaction is from the other side, you will only have a positive state of mind. Even if you don't go deeply into this just now, this much you should understand: deliberate positivity in the mind has to be practiced. In road rage, for example, you smile, you say sorry if you have said something negative. Use all this so that the mind remains in a balanced state. The use of sorry and thank you is quite common in the Western world. It is for this. You stay in a state of gratitude and positivity all the time, not with negative emotions raging in your mind. If you allow that to happen, negativity to reign in your mind, people will keep away from you. Abhi aapko pata nahi chal raha hai. Tomorrow in the workplace you will understand the importance of all this. Then you must learn to see the whole picture. This is a way of changing the emotion, which means what? Temporarily, if you create a problematic situation for yourself, meaninglessly for small things, you are the loser. You see the whole picture. What will this lead to? This sense we must have. You see, a well-developed analytical mind will have this sense that what will this lead to? I use a word. What will that word, what is the reaction which will be produced in that person due to that word? I can't just blurt out anything. Your speech, your action, your thinking, everything, it should pass through the conscious filter of your will. Not just it came out. I couldn't do anything. So that is why we are saying that a level of control at this level is required if you want to be successful. Otherwise you will be mediocre. है ना? आप ही सोच के देखो, ये कोई theory नहीं है. This is the practical application of Yoga Vedanta in your life. You can show you are in charge by the level of control you exercise in all these planes. Then good works must be made a habit. You know, this is something again lacking from our education system. If you believe in something, you must be able to do it. If you are constantly caring, sharing, if you make this part of your life a habit with you, you create good impressions in your mind. Mind will be habitually happy by nature. So good works creates good impressions, thoughts of compassion, love and service substitute thoughts of anger, hatred and jealousy. I told you, substitution, replacement is the way to change habits. And all these thoughts actually have therapeutic effect on your body, isn't it? So you gain by all this. And the final way which is usually given to handle your emotions is meditation. Stop the thought process, at least for a few fractions of a second every day. It will give you charge over the thought mechanism. So these are all the ways. Usually to handle this, you refer to any book on self-development, self-management and all that. They will tell you the importance of fixing the outside. fix this person, fix that person, keep away from such people. That is secondary. Primarily, fix this. Primarily, you must be in such a state of balance and orderliness that you know how to behave in every particular situation. So this is the essential part of leadership. The last course which I gave here was on leadership. Effective leadership is only possible if you are in charge of your physical and mental mechanism. So this is an essential part of leadership training, how to manage negative emotions. Because there is something, a part of EQ is called ambiguity tolerance. Ambiguity ka matlab hai, have you heard of the word ambiguity? Two types of, the same person is saying two types of things. Your ability to manage such situations. Understanding contextually why he is saying two different types of things. In this context, this holds, in that context. This ability, if you have, you will be able to manage all such ambiguities in every situation. If you don't have this ability, it will lead to clash, isn't it? So, इसीलिए मैं कह रही हूँ, this system has to be, first of all, yes, improved, changed. Now, we go to the next aspect of, okay, I have not finished with emotion, just 1 minute. There are certain fundamental things which you should know about emotional intelligence. If emotional intelligence is developed, you naturally get what is called self-confidence and self-efficacy. Yes, शब्द आपने सुना है, self-efficacy was a very huge concept in the 1970s and 80s. इस efficacy का मतलब है ability to do something. If you are efficacious, it means you are capable. Self-efficacy means I know I am capable. This confidence, this positive idea. So this only comes if your emotions and thoughts are manageable by you, isn't it? You become self-efficacious. The I can do it stand comes when you find yourself reliable through all of this understanding and application. When you find yourself reliable, you become self-efficacious. So this is also part of emotional intelligence. Don't take emotional intelligence lightly. It is going to play a huge part in your life. In every life it plays a huge part and it contributes hugely to your success. So one last point about emotional intelligence is there is an equation for you to understand. What causes the maximum amount of suffering in our mind? Is it pain? It is usually the resistance of your mind. Any situation, there may be certain level of pain. As I told you, somebody said a wrong word towards you. But the resistance of your mind, the additional amount of information which your mind added in the form of hatred, anger, all this created an explosive situation. So pain may be even physiological, but suffering is psychological because of the addition of your resistance. A huge amount you can suffer. Somebody call you a fool, it is just the outpouring of somebody's bad mood, but you made it into a big thing and for a whole year you didn't talk with that person. This can happen, isn't it? It is because suffering is equal to pain times your resistance. We give this equation, S is equal to P into R, where S is suffering, P is pain, R is resistance. Now see, if your resistance is 0, suffering will be 0 even if pain is there. Which means if your mind does not make any contribution, even if you are suffering some marginal pain, it's okay, you can handle it. It will not lead to suffering. But if resistance is huge, then suffering is always huge, no matter how small the pain is. So a large part of your suffering is self-related, mind-related. इसीलिए तो कहते हैं the basic training for the human being is how to become सात्विक. सत्व अगर हो शरीर में, मन में, तो what will happen? You are able to control yourself at every level. So these unnecessary reactions will not come at all. Just the required responses will come. So you don't create suffering for yourself. Agar rajas and tamas is overactive in you, then only all these problems come. The basic training always has been, that is why for this, how to create a basically sattvic human being. So this is regarding emotion. Now let's go to will. You must know certain basic things about will. When I will something and it fails, I must know why it has failed. What is lacking in me that my willpower didn't work? How do you define will? See, just look at this. This definition only Yoga Vedanta will give you. Will is actually a compound between the self and the intellect. It is a compound, which means it is again changeable. That is why your will keeps changing directions. But you must learn to fix it for a long span of time, a long period of time, so that it works. This is, you can do it, the more conscious you become from within, the more you can fix your will. I told you, if awareness content is minimal in the mind, you can neither handle your thought, emotion nor will. It naturally becomes compulsive. It is decided by the external. If awareness content is great in your mind, the will function as it should. The thought, emotion mechanism will be in your hands. That's why the essential thing is to become conscious. This is real intelligence, more and more conscious. Because you see, the roots of your will are very close to the Atman. Will is actually the dynamic aspect of the self. So, if you want to develop willpower, culture awareness. The more aware you become from within, the more your will function for you. Naturally, you become a person whose will works. Not just for yourself, even in the outer world. What you will happen. ये एक संभावना है. The more you awaken the inside, the within, the more you awaken completely to your own true being, the more willpower develops. So here, let me tell you this point blank, that the extent to which you become conscious, to that extent your memory, which means your retention capacity, your concentration, which means your focus, your creativity, your analytical ability will get honed, sharpened immensely. As a result of this, you will be successful everywhere. And to the extent awareness has been blotted out through all kinds of erratic thought activity, negativities in the mind, over-cluttered mind, no touch of yoga, to that extent the mind, all of these faculties contract because there is nobody in charge of them. So that is why work on the essential aspect, इसीलिए always, it was stressed in, especially in our spiritual culture, that the self has to be awakened first. आपका जो तत्व है, ये जो आत्म तत्व हम कहते हैं, that has to be brought to the forefront, and the rest of your personality gets imbued by that light, and it will function magically for you. So this will get you all possible success in life. Wherever they have spoken of spiritual intelligence, spiritual quotient, all over the world today, enormous studies are taking place. I can give you a number of experiments, but we don't have time here for all of that, where they have found this to be actually true. The culturing of awareness in the mind takes care of the rest of everything about you. Because spiritual intelligence entirely depends upon this, and the qualities which you develop with spiritual quotient, spiritual intelligence, which are, you see, here are those qualities: purpose, self-discipline, morality, courage, love, giving, excellence, and detachment. All these come as part and parcel of spiritual intelligence. This will become part and parcel of your personality if once you arouse yourself to complete awareness. You become more and more conscious from within. So all this follows naturally. That is why the emphasis in our scriptures, especially in the Upanishads, to awaken the self within you. This is not an option. This is not a matter of choice. It is compulsory to human life that you first awaken yourself to bring all this glory into your life, into your mind. Let me give you one simple technique here to do this, because naturally आप पूछेंगे कि how do we do this? How do we become more and more conscious? So here I would like to give you a technique today to help you understand what self-awareness means and what it will do to you. This technique I have drawn from Taittiriya Upanishad. It is called Bhruguvalli commonly. It is actually it's a vidya. Vidya means a kind of a meditation technique which takes you to the knowledge of the self, which awakens you to full consciousness, what we are discussing just now. So this technique takes you there. That is why it is actually called Bhargavi Varuni Vidya. It's a vidya. So let's discuss this briefly here to make you more and more conscious and aware within what is required and what it will lead to. See, it starts like this. This portion starts like this. There is this young sage called Bhrigu. It's a story, so you'll enjoy it. This Bhrigu Rishi, he's a young man. His father is Varuna. He's also a Rishi. And this young man goes to his father and says, I want to know this Brahman, what you are constantly talking about, the substratum behind this world of manifestation, the one unchanging reality which I am, which is the real I. I want to know this. How do I go towards this knowledge? How do I know who I am? Then Varun Rishi tells him, Tapasa Brahma Vijignyasasva. Do some level of tapasya and you will know this, who you are. Employ self-enquiry and do tapasya. So this Bhrigu goes and spends some period in meditation, and then one day he comes and tells his father, I think I know what you mean by self, who I am. I think is it the body? Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat? Because you see, I feel this sense of identity with the body. Then the father says, Tapasa Brahma Vijignyasasva, do some more tapasya. Now can you tell me why you are not the body? We have discussed a considerable amount of Vedanta so far. Why are you not just this body? Why do I keep saying this is an instrument in your hands? It is yours, it is not you. Why? Because it is an object of your perception, isn't it? It is an object of change. It is an object through which you are functioning. You are perfectly conscious of it as an object. I am speaking, I am conscious that I am speaking. So I am not my speech. I am that through which this speech is becoming possible. This is the standpoint. Please see this. Anything which is an object of your perception cannot be you. It is yours, but your speech is yours, but it is not you. You are that which is using the medium of speech to express something. You are that which is using the medium of the body to function in this world. So you are not merely the body. So go and do some more tapasya and find out who you are, the father says. And Bhrigu goes and does some more tapasya. Then he comes and says, Father, I think a little more I have understood. Pranam Brahmeti Vyajanat. This prana, the vital energy in me, is that Brahman? Is that the real I? And then the father says, no, my son, go back to your meditation. Now, why are you not the pranic energy merely, the vital energy? Because that also has movement, that has change. That is also an object of your perception. You can feel the pranic energy within you, your vitality. That increases, that can decrease also. That changes, so that cannot be you. Then he asks him to again go and meditate. After some time, Bhrigu comes and says, Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat. Is the mind me? See, this is the condition of most people. They think that they are mind, nothing more than that. But the father again says, no. Why are you not your mind? Can you perceive your mind? Do you know what is happening in your mind? You can know, isn't it? Your thoughts. See, what is memory but the recognition of your thoughts of the past? So you can know your mind. If you can know something as an object of perception, it can't be you. Again, your mind, sometimes it is in full bloom. Sometimes it has become dim. It can block awareness. It changes. How much it has changed since your babyhood. So you cannot be the mind. You are that which is standing behind the mind, the watcher of the mind's processes. You are the witness of the mind. So go back to your meditation. After some time, Bhrigu comes and says, I think this time I have understood. Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajanat, he says, which means the higher intellect, the buddhi. I am that buddhi. ये भी हम बोलते हैं ना, I am my intellect. You see, I am recognized for my intellect. Are you your intellect? Why? Why not? Now you are catching the spirit of the Upanishads because you are giving the right, you are nodding correctly. Why are you not your buddhi merely? You can sharpen it, you can hone it, you can also unsharpen it. You can make it blunt. It is changing. And you again perceive your intellect as an object. So you are not merely your intellect. Then again he goes back to his meditation. After some time he comes and says, Anandam Brahmeti Vyajanat. I think that Anandamay Kosh, the causal body it is called, through which streams out the light of the Atman. That is me. And then the father says, you have come very close to the source of your being. Now at this point, if you ask yourself, who is it who is feeling this Anand? Who is it who is feeling this streaming out of consciousness into the body mind? You will come to the core essence of your personality. And this is how Bhrigu Rishi, just through self-enquiry and meditation, plunged into self-knowledge, into the Atman, and came to know that he is that consciousness which is enlivening this entire apparatus. He is functioning through it, but he is totally apart from it. He is of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss. He is the very source of that mental awareness through which he is studying all this. He is nothing but an image of Brahman, what he is worshipping. He is nothing but that in the form of the Atman, pure consciousness, and that is actually illumining all aspects of his personality. And what comes out of this knowledge, this also this Upanishad will tell you, Annavan Annado Bhavati, which means due to this understanding, Bhrigu developed a very healthy physical system. Annavan Annado Bhavati actually means this, that he developed great health. Because I am telling you, if the light of awareness is made to stream unobstructed in the body, it results in health. The science of Ayurveda will tell you this. If you block pranic energy, vitality is nothing but an aspect of your awareness, the physical aspect of your awareness. That's why if you commit pran, you develop a higher awareness. So, if you actually allow awareness to flow unobstructed in your system, it results in health. And if you allow it to flow unobstructed in your mind, it results in mental awareness, great mental awareness, where you can actually see thoughts objectively, so you can handle them. Annavan Annado Bhavati, Mahan Bhavati, he becomes great naturally. Prajaya, Pashubhi, Praja here is like-minded. It doesn't essentially mean children, it means like-minded, great minds will come to you. Pashubhi, Pashu was a measure of wealth, great wealth will come to you. Brahma Varchasena, by your Brahma Varchas, by the tej of your personality, by the light in your personality, and Mahan Kirtya, great fame will be yours due to this. If the self is brought into full manifestation, you see Vivekananda says this in so many ways he has put this. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakens, he says. Power will come, glory will come, goodness will come, purity will come, all that is excellent will come once the soul is aroused to self-conscious activity. This is what they are trying to tell you in the Upanishads. You awaken to the reality, the body-mind complex will be taken care of. In fact, your health is guaranteed. Even mental health is guaranteed if awareness comes to the forefront in your mind. So this is the method given to you, and what this will bring into your life is utter clarity and confidence. You are clear about everything. Any information coming in front of you, you see your present day study material coming in front of you, your mind is so clear, you soak in the information. High levels of concentration will develop. Due to this, immense clarity remains and confidence born of that clarity. You know how confident men of realization are? That is why they are the great movers of this world. World movers, Vivekananda used to call them. Once somebody told the Buddha, well, what you say does not exist in the scriptures. Then Buddha said, well, then you put it there. Put them there in the scriptures. Then the person said, what you say actually contradicts the scriptures. Then he said, that means the scriptures need amendment. This is what is called confidence. Because it is an experience with you. If the inside is absolutely clear, if you have found your way to the source of your being, everything is taken care of. It gives you, from clarity comes power. You know, the power of a personality is due to his clarity. The confidence is due to his clarity. So, इन सब चीज़ों को generate करने का एक तरीका है, development from within. Self-management essentially means this. You have learned to manage yourself perfectly. So, everything falls in place. You know, the outside world only trusts a person who trusts himself. If you are not sure of yourself, your own thoughts, your ideas, your convictions, do you think anybody will trust you? So, if you want the trust of people, the faith of people, if you want to be a real leader in the workplace, this level of confidence in yourself is required. You have found yourself 100% reliable. It comes from this spiritual knowledge. So, you are trustworthy first to yourself and hence to others. This is self-management, essentially. We will stop today's session here because a lot of ideas have gone into today's session. Think over it.